Hey guys, David Wells here. Today I'm going to show you how I produce and make Inbound Now. I've gotten a lot of questions about what equipment I use to do the show, how I set up the show, how I run it. So today I'm going to run through that stuff and also talk about at the end, via a clip from my friend Jack Brum over at Pixel Wire Media, how I promote Inbound Now. And that'll be this episode. It'll be a shorter one, but there'll be more guests on the way. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, David Wells, and I hope you enjoy Inbound Now. Just one quick note, though, before I begin. It does not matter, all the equipment that I'm going to mention, it does not matter what you're using. These things can keep people from starting a show. You shouldn't really worry about your equipment starting out. It's really, what you should worry about is the content. What are you sharing with your audience? And then comes, how's the audio quality? I'm going to show you what microphone I use. It's very, very cheap. I'm also going to show you what camera, how I do my lighting, etc. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll get a sense that it really doesn't matter what equipment you're using. It's really just about getting out there, starting your show, and learning as you go. And that's exactly how I did it. I think that's exactly how you should do it as well. So here we go. So just to show you guys some initial setup, I use a flip cam, relatively cheap flip cam. I actually modded it with a camera on the front so I could see myself when I'm recording myself. Added bonus there, but I use that when I'm doing any kind of intro video that just needs a quick introduction, or if I'm doing a video that's outside of Skype. And for any video that I do, I also use a light box like this one. You don't need a fancy light box like this. You can actually just use a work lamp. That would work just fine. And I also use an LED light setup, which I'll show you a little bit later in the video, that you can get relatively inexpensively. But again, doesn't matter about the light. You can use natural lighting or a well-lit room to get the desired effect. The next piece of equipment that I do use is the AT2020 Audio Technica USB powered mic. So this mic is just a plug and play. I just plug it into a Mac or a PC and it records. The audio quality is fantastic, and I'm not using it right now. I'm actually on my iPhone. And this mic runs at about $67 now. Relatively cheap and an awesome mic. Your audio quality is very important. If the audio quality is kind of jarring, the audience isn't going to sit through it. So definitely invest in a solid mic. I've also heard the Blue Yeti mic is also a good solid mic. Relatively cheap. You don't need to go super fancy with it. But as you can see, it's a pretty heavy duty microphone that records some really awesome sound via Skype conversations. And to show you guys my home setup here, I have my webcam directly in the middle of my two monitors. You don't need two monitors. And you can see behind me, I have, whenever I'm interviewing somebody, I have them right behind me. So I'm looking into the camera and also looking at them. So that keeps the eye contact with the audience, as well as you're kind of looking at the person when you are interviewing them. And I also have some lights in here. So basically, these are Glamcore lights. They're LED lights, relatively inexpensive LED lights, and you can see when I turn them on, they are extremely bright, and they definitely help light me up when I'm sitting at my home office doing an interview. I just flipped them upside down because that's kind of how my home office is set up. They come with a stand, and you can make them very portable. So definitely, I recommend them as well. They are about $200. You don't need them. Again, you can use work lights. That's totally fine. I prefer the LED option because they do not get hot to the touch, and they're very easy to pack away and get on the go. So at home, I use a Microsoft HD LifeCam. It's okay. The software bundled with it kind of sucks. The picture quality is very good. I bought this about a year ago for around $90. It's very inexpensive now, and a good camera. There's probably better ones out there, so definitely take a look. Anything that records in HD should be good. Just you want to make sure that your guest also has a good internet connection. If they do not, and you do not, the Skype video quality will suffer. So always keep that in mind when setting up an interview. The software I use on the Mac is called Ecamm. It's about $20. It works relatively well. And if I'm recording on my PC, I use a program called VodBurner. With Ecamm, you have a couple of settings on how you want to record the video. You can do picture-in-picture, a side-by-side view, or a widescreen side-by-side. I use the widescreen, just like my buddy David Siteman Garland over at the Rise to the Top. And when I'm on my PC on VodBurner, you just record it. And one of the things that VodBurner has is a built-in editor, and it actually detects who's talking. So you can actually toggle back and forth between the different cameras. And it does that automatically. It's a pretty cool feature, and when I am on the PC, I do like that. On the Mac with Ecamm, it's pretty straightforward. It's a one-take record. It's a little bit difficult to edit that video, so I try to do all of my interviews in one take to cut out on the post-production. The other reason I like to do one-take interviews is because it's a more conversational approach to the interview, and it just feels more real. I think it engages the audience a little bit better. And again, if you are cutting down just to the meat of the interview, to cut it down to make it a little bit shorter, it can be trouble in the post-production and take you a long time to edit it. So I would recommend, memorizing your questions beforehand, know what you're going to talk about, and be able to riff off of the things that your interviewee is saying, and make it really engaging for the audience to hear. So you're not just reading off a list of questions, you're actually carrying on a conversation with this industry expert or however you're doing your show, and I think that engages the audience and keeps them listening. And once everything is said and done with the recording, I actually drop it in. If it's going to be a quick edit, I'll drop it right into Camtasia Studio for really light video editing. This is also what I'm using right now to record this screencast. Highly recommend it. It's for Mac and PC. If I'm doing some heavy duty lifting and video editing, I use Adobe Premiere Pro, but you don't really need something this advanced. You can really use any video editor you have on your computer. Don't be overwhelmed by the softwares that I'm going through here. You can really use anything that you're comfortable with using. If you're doing one-take interviews, the file that you produce from VodBurner or Ecamm should be good to go. I like to slap on an intro to my show. You don't have to do that, but as you get more and more comfortable with the stuff and want to do more advanced things, then you can ratchet up to a different software. And once the video is finalized, I always get the video transcribed. This is to increase the SEO value of said video. So on inboundnow.tv, I'll post the entire transcript, and I get a lot of long tail keyword searches into the site because of this. So Google can't index words in the actual video yet, so it's a good idea to get that transcribed. I use a service called SpeechPad. It's around $1.50 per minute if you want a 24-hour turnaround time, and it gets cheaper if you want to go out from there. But I highly recommend the service. And finally, I also do a recap post to go on HubSpot's main blog, where I just talk about what is going to be in the episode, and I do kind of a breakdown. And I also optimize the page with, I'll maybe run a contest to increase the followership of the fan page. I'll usually put a subscribe link somewhere on here, and I'll also link up to that transcription on inboundnow.tv. So what I'm doing in effect is leveraging the post twice on two separate domains to pull in traffic to both domains, thus leveraging as much SEO as I possibly can out of this particular episode. To syndicate the show, I use Blip TV, a pro account. It's about $80 a year, and it basically syndicates through to a bunch of different channels all at once, and also to iTunes and YouTube, which would be the two most popular video channels you do want to syndicate your video podcast to. And finally, this is a clip from an interview I did with Jack Brum of Pixel Wire Media, where I talk about how I promote and get the word out there about Inbound Now. So I hope you enjoy, and thanks for tuning in, and check out Jack's site over at pixelwiremedia.com.
You mentioned, you do a show, but really in the content marketing game, in the inbound marketing game, doing the show, creating that content, that's just the first piece.
Right.
I mean, a lot of it happens after that. A lot of it is the, the promotion.
Right. So creating the content, it is, I do prep a lot for the show, but after it's done and ready to go, there's a lot of promotion that has to be done. I would say it's probably like a 40-60 split, 60 on the promotion side. And what I do with the show, basically every week I try to run a contest for, one of my guests. They usually have a book or some sort of product to offer. So I'll try to run a promotion to kind of build up the fan bases. So as of right now, the day of recording, I think we just passed like 1,200 fans on our Facebook page and around like 3,000 Twitter followers. But I'm just kind of growing those platforms. So when we do have a message to send out, it's easier to get traffic to watch the show. There's a lot of different things I do on Facebook. With one of the recent changes on Facebook, you can kind of browse as your page now. And that opens up a whole game of, you can basically get in front of these people that wouldn't have known you existed otherwise, not as your personal page, not as your personal profile, but actually as the page. So I actually go out and interact with a lot of different social media fan pages out there. And if they have a cool comment, or insightful comment, or if I have my 2 cents that I want to throw into the conversation, they kind of get that notification, hey, Inbound Now just liked your comment, or Inbound Now just commented on yours, and it kind of starts that conversation, piques their interest of, oh, what's Inbound Now? They click through, kind of see all the stuff that we're doing over there, and it helps drive traffic. But yeah, the Facebook contests have been like extraordinarily powerful to kind of get the word out there. Yeah.
So what type of numbers are you getting? Kind of what's been the progression episode 1?
Okay, so it's different every episode, but thus far we've had every episode has had at least 600 views. Some have had way more than others. I think the episode I did with John Hayden, all about Facebook, did like by far the best, and I'm pretty excited. So I just did one with Mari Smith, and it's all about Facebook. So we'll see if it's kind of the Facebook topic, because it's like really hot right now. But yeah, and the Seth Godin one did like very well. But yeah, it's growing and growing. I just actually got into the iTunes directory. It took a little while. There's some technical issues there, but now there's an audio and video in there, and I think that'll kind of boost viewership as well. And I've been building out inboundnow.tv as kind of the go-to place to kind of sort through and look at all the different episodes. So.
And a lot of the people you're interviewing, they're kind of in that personal branding category, where they're trying to build their personal brand. So I would think that you'd get some help, with them promoting the episode. Yeah,
definitely. That's the other thing. When they do the episode, they definitely want to share it out, because it's like, hey, look, there's someone like talking about me, and it's not really me talking about myself, kind of thing, right? And it's good content that they want to share out. And it's building those relationships with those thought leaders, like Mari Smith. She's gonna like basically tweet it out. She has 300,000 followers on Twitter, so that's definitely gonna help viewership of the show and awareness around the show. So it's definitely something that has helped out tremendously.
I think the thing about views is, so a video like this is gonna have 1 million views, probably not.
Right.
But what you're doing is, by having, you're up to 18 episodes now. You've really created a library of content that gives you an authority.
Right, exactly. So, and that's the other thing with the promotion. So every single post that we do, so it airs live on, not live, it airs on the HubSpot blog, right? And that's kind of the recap post, and that post has a specific title. It also airs on inboundnow.tv every Thursday, and basically that is optimized for a different keyword, a different post name, and the actual post there is the transcript of everything that we were saying. So it's definitely pulling in SEO value from both sides. So it's basically repurposing that content and leveraging as much as I can get out of it. So.
Yeah, people are talking about video now. Video is growing, and we're certainly all about video. Pixelwire Media, but at this point, the web really is about words.
Yep.
It's about words. It's about words that can be searched and optimized pages and all that stuff.
Right, right. I think so. YouTube has like a very rough translation tool right now, and I think what we'll see is that actually will get much, much better into the future. So video SEO will become a little bit easier, but yeah, as of right now, it's kind of a manual process. We outsource the transcriptions. I think it's like $1.50 a minute or something, not too expensive. And yeah, it basically runs through it and formats it in a way that someone could just kind of scan down.
Yeah.
And again, it pulls in that organic traffic.
So we talked a little bit about guests, and I do want to mention that your guest list, it's a who's who of the online marketing profession. It really is. I mean, you got Seth Godin, Chris Brogan, Steve Garfield, Joe Polizzi. You just interviewed Mari Smith, Facebook consultant. How do you go about selecting your subjects, and have you had any difficulty getting them to come on your show?
Yeah. So most of these people, I've been reading their blogs for years now. They've really like inspired me to kind of get into this industry. And really, I just kind of went to start out the show. I kind of went down my Google Reader like list and just kind of reached out to them. And surprisingly, no one has said no yet. And really, it's just a short email, like telling who I am, what the show's about. Give basically a link to an example of what the show is like. Hey, it's a Skype video interview, or if you're in Boston, come into HubSpot. And yeah, it really and personalize it. Like I go and read their like new stuff, kind of look and see what they're doing on Twitter, and kind of include that into the email. Short and sweet, send it out. So for the Seth Godin interview, I was looking for new guests, and I'm like, there's no way Seth Godin is gonna waste his time on my stupid show, right? And like honestly, I wrote the brief email because I know he's a busy dude, and sent it out. He responded in a half hour. Said, yeah, sure, I'd love to. My assistant will set it up. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Like he is the end all be all like marketing guru in my mind, and him coming on the show was kind of like, wow. I was just kind of astounded that he came on. But yeah, and now really, I would say don't be afraid to ask people, believe it or not, they usually have something that they're trying to promote, a new book launch or what have you, and they're more than likely to kind of come on your show. So.
Yeah. So the approach you're taking is you're really kind of describing the approach in a lot of social media networks.
Yeah,
in terms of approaching people, to like your fan page or follow you on Twitter.
Right, exactly. So like when I do reach out, I definitely make sure that it's personalized. I don't have a form email. I mean, I have kind of a format of what it's like this is what the show's about, but it's really like personalized to them, and I'll contact them. Like a lot of people's emails are just readily available on the internet, like Seth Godin, Seth at sethgodin.com. It's right on his website. Or I'll go through their contact form or tweet at them like, hey, would you want to be on the show, and link to the show, and usually they'll respond like, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
Yeah, because like a lot of the guests that you have there, are kind of in that personal branding realm. They want to be a consultant, they want to be a speaker, and they need to, have these type of ways to get found.
Right, exactly.
And that's their credentials.
And and most people they'll have a new book coming out, or we'll talk about an older book. I mean, there's always an ulterior motive, but I mean, honestly, a lot of these people, like Steve Garfield, I mean, he's just a super nice guy, and he's like, he lives here in Boston, so he's like, yeah, sure, I'd love to come in and check out HubSpot. He came in Friday, so he could check out HubSpot TV as well right after we did the interview. So.